Hello, I'm John Stockley for the BBC programme What's Next. In today's often crowded field of rock and roll with hardcore, grindcore and even Christcore, it's hard for bands to set themselves apart. Today we're going to go inside Stained Ashes and see what makes them tick and what makes them the next big thing. Follow me, John Stockley, for What's Next.
Two white cups and I got that drink. You could be purple, it could be pink. Depending on how you mix that shit. Money to be got you can hit that shit. Cause I'm on. I said,
Okay, so follow me. We're inside the lair, right in the heart of the beast of Stained Ashes. I'm going to sit down with the fellas and we're going to find out what makes them the next big thing.
Going to Party City! Woo! Brandon. Kenneth. Kenneth doesn't look like he's going to Party City. Charlie. Charlie's driving to Party City. And apparently we're going to get food.
We need to figure out where we're gonna eat.
Dude, I don't fucking give a shit. There'll be places in the way.
How about Waffle House?
We're not eating some cheap ass nasty fuck food.
Yeah, I know.
Well, sit down. Why don't you introduce yourselves, fellas?
Brandon Turner, singer.
Big Nightmare, lead guitarist.
I'm Joey Dominic. I play drums, I think.
I'm Kenneth, the great Melvin Koenig, and I believe I play bass guitar and backup vocals, and we all do backup vocals.
So you're a band with vocals, harmonies. It's not really what you get in today's grindcore, hardcore scene. What sets you guys different?
Well, I have to say it's probably the vocal harmonies in our grindcore, hardcore music.
You know, I caught the show in Houston, and it was like your typical grindcore show. You had your wall of death, you had your mosh pit. You're going in, as it were, in front of the Romans as Christians, but not overly Christian, obviously, right? And you still seem to make it work. But isn't it a hard fit?
Can be very hard.
Have you had some shows that have really showed that it was a very hard fit?
No, all good shows. Not a single bad one ever.
I think we start out nice and with something sweet and mellow or something like that, you know, get the mood right and everything. And then we go in hard.
Whoa! How did it all start for you guys? You guys all friends, all mates, right?
Right.
When the rhythm section for Stained Ashes gets bored, they like to build forts such as this one. I'm not really sure what they got going on in there.
Pretty sure it's making out back there behind you.
They might be making out, who knows?
So I can tell you this one pretty well. It all started off as Brandon. I met him somewhere. I can't quite remember the time, but he came over and we had a little jam session. You know, he's just like, hey, we should try and get something started. And I mean, I being a house drummer here at the Red Shack, I was just like, sure, why not? And actually that day, he met Nick Nightmare here in Beef O'Brady's, and I mean, from there it was on.
It's always a great place to meet
I know.
budding rock stars.
Exactly.
Actually, me and Brandon used to be in a band together previous to this, but he was only in it for a little while, and I was gonna try to get him to start up a new band with me, and he
Was
went
it
off
in
somewhere.
fact
and came back.
hardcore, grindcore, or Christcore?
Definitely not Christcore.
I think there was a Christcore.
But pretty much what happened
Slight
after that
influence of Christcore.
I found him on the side of the road. We brought him in, nurtured him like our own, and then he became a great bassist, as if overnight.
I've heard the bass playing. It's definitely not roll on the bottom D, drop D. It's all over the place. It's a different bass style than what you're used to from hearing your regular grindcore bands.
I think it might just be the Bootsy Collins influence that you don't see in the modern human being anymore. You know what it is?
Well, Bootsy, one of the great pioneers of rock bass playing in Parliament and Funkadelic. Nick, your hero is Nikki Sixx. What influence have you taken and what have you left on the table?
Well, I try to keep that whole 80s influence where, you know, everything's all catchy. I try to write as catchy as possible, and people like catchy. catchy, sounds good.
Catchy
These
is good
guys,
then.
they're not really into, you know, the 80s stuff, but Brandon is a catchy ass fucking lyric writer. Doors open.
Are you just staring at me or something? Look at someone else. God. Alright, let's go.
No wasting valuable battery time.
For everyone back when with me. Alright.
What the door? It's supposed to teach
In that case, you're welcome. Kind of like Cologne, you know?
It looks like our sketchy rape dungeon, but once you go inside, it's really not far from the
No,
sketchy
the
rape
sketchy
dungeon.
rape dungeon is over to the left and there.
Really fun working with him. He has like a unique vocal style where he fucking whacks out and goes crazy, and then he's a fucking normal badass singer. And I try to keep up by playing, you know, simple stuff with complicated stuff, just to kind of, you know,
So basically, you bring the riff in, he fills it out, and then he brings it to the boys.
exactly.
Oh, a lot of bands are like that. That's not completely unheard of. We just finished the tour that went through the southeastern United States, and we've all heard of the famed Sex Pistols tour. They tried to do the same thing, ended up with the band breaking up because it was just a tough fit in places like Birmingham and Texas. How did you feel that your music went over?
Texas is probably where our music fits the most. I mean, when you have...
One wouldn't think that.
No, probably not. I mean, you'd think, you know, cowboy hats and, you know, I don't know,
Cowboy
jeans.
boots,
Yeah,
maybe?
and that. But I guess when you're, you know, when everyone around you is a bunch of rednecks, you know, the younger population tends to rebel against that.
And feel like outsiders, and that is your main objective as musicians, is to appeal to outsiders
Exactly.
that aren't into Taylor Swift or Brad Paisley, say.
Exactly. I mean...
Who the fuck's
yes.
Brad Paisley?
Right, if Brad Paisley was here right now, what would you guys do for
I
him?
would kick him right in his little twat, that's
Who?
what I'd do.
Who's Brad?
Herody Fernandez there and Juan Maria Solari speaking.
Exactly. What's next for Stained Ashes?
Well, I think a good punch in the face and some new music on the way.
Because the first EP has been a long time coming, and that seems to be the big problem with a lot of bands. You can go through the history of bands. They've got 18 months to write the first album, and it seems like 18 weeks to write the second album. Your first
Right.
EP's out, and it sounds great, I've heard it. And are you just going to build on that, or are you just all new?
All new. We're started from scratch. There's a big difference. EP is you take songs that you've written and then you get them recorded. When you're writing an album, I mean, you've got to put your mind in the thought process of, I'm here to write an album. Everything needs to fit. Everything needs to flow together well. Everything needs to have a somewhat coherent sound, so you know what band you're listening to. When you turn on one of our songs, you know it's Stained Ashes.
In context of the whole project, the album is making a comeback, you know, over the 90s and the aughts. It's been more about ringtones and singles that could
Right.
fit on anything, and the now 39 albums, which are always top 10
Right.
in both the UK and here. You're going to go against that and be more of an album-oriented band, much like the bands of the 70s and 80s.
Right. Exactly.
Juan Maria, come here and perhaps let me ask you, when this music really divided from European music, one of my favourite, but a composer I quite enjoy is a Brazilian, whose name was Mozart, but in the end he dropped the name Mozart because he was fed up with being associated with European music. So
That's personally my favourite. There has to be something more than the original single. Singles have to work by themselves and as part of a whole,
Exactly.
which is great. I'm Jonathan Stockley, and this is What's Next, Stained Ashes.
Interesting as not. Ah, oh, that Shakespeare is a funny one. I can't believe it. Oh, Sun Tzu. That's a very rather fine read. He apparently took lots of